You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to the O'Hara News and Editorial with Robert O'Hara and James Huff, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. They're fucking pigs! Patriarchy. Fucking rape apologist, incest-supporting, woman-hating fucking scum. You woman-hater! Patriarchy, fuckface!
You and your son and your everybody and your bunch of fucking men.
Fucking scum!
This is what men's rights look like. This is what men's rights look like. This is what men's rights look like.
Feminist theory is not the Bible. It is not the Declaration of Independence. It is not the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
You're damn right we target feminist ideology. Feminist ideology teaches nothing but hate and contempt for men and boys.
Feminism must be like a psychedelic drug. I swear to God, because nothing they say is remotely close to reality.
We're going to continue to call feminists out on their hate and bigotry, and we really don't give a damn if they like it or not.
Well, you know what, feminism, if you don't like the rule of law, then don't be part of society. Go somewhere else.
Blue Collar Red Pill, with your host, the One Day in Army, Dan Perrins, and Jack Nightrunner Barnes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Blue Collar Red Pill Radio. Unfortunately, Dan is having a little bit of audio trouble tonight. We hope to have him with us here shortly. James is working his magic in the back room as we speak. But we have our good friend Attila Vinzer with us. Attila, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everybody.
How are you doing this evening?
Oh, very, very well. Considering what we went through on Friday night, battling the cold, it feels good to be inside where it's nice and cozy warm.
Yes, everyone, Bill Cosby has been doing some shows, some live performances of his comedy routine in Canada. The feminists and social justice warriors, everyone that believes that women are incapable of lying, especially about rape, they don't like the fact that he's in Canada doing shows. Now, for those of you that don't know, and unless you've been living under a rock, I don't know how anyone would be unaware of this. Bill Cosby has been accused by a bunch of women of that he raped them. And the social justice warriors and feminists, of course, if a woman said it, it's got to be true. Women never lie about anything ever, especially rape. So they've been protesting Bill Cosby. Now, Bill Cosby came to Hamilton, which is there close to Danny and Attila and some other guys, some other MHRAs there, and these guys decided that they were going to go and counter protest in favor of innocent until proven guilty, and protest against the lynch mob mentality. So while we're waiting on Danny to come in with us here, Attila, can you basically just tell us what happened?
Sure. Let me give you a bit of a picture as to how things looked. I arrived when I got there. It was about 7:30ish, and by that point, a pretty large crowd had gathered on one street corner. There was lots of media, so they were televising live. Tremendous police presence. And I went and parked my vehicle, got myself out, and what I ended up doing is...
Sorry, folks, I'm trying to reach...
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Hey, all right, finally. Fuck you, feminazis. The patriarchy shall fucking rule. I don't care what fucking technical fucking hurdles you throw at us.
Attila's telling what happened.
Sure. So let me just carry on.
I got a
here.
little bit of that.
Yeah, what I ended up doing is I wanted to mingle in with the protesters, and they didn't realize who I was. I got to talking to some of them, and it came very clear to me that these people have no concept of due process and the reality of justice. They literally were like a bunch of zombies programmed to do a certain thing without stepping back for a minute and thinking, now, wait a second here. What exactly am I saying? You know, to be chanting that we believe the women, I mean, what does that mean? You know, that's a pretty broad statement. And this is really the mentality of these folks who, in my opinion, have been brainwashed to believe that if a female says something, it shouldn't be questioned. And this holds true with the executive director that I spoke with of the domestic violence shelter, the women's shelter in London, and she too was telling me that, you know, well, we got to believe them. We have to believe the victims. So in their minds, they're already pre-programmed that a woman that says that she's been raped is telling the truth. She is the victim. We have to believe her. We need to get her to tell her story. And, I mean, just back up a second here. I mean, how about going to the police and filing a complaint and giving this person an opportunity to defend themselves? And that just doesn't happen. So I took some pictures, talked with these protesters, and when they realized that I wasn't on their side, they all of a sudden turned sour. Some of them came up to me very deep in my face and said things like, well, how would you feel if your mother was raped? Look, the principle still remains the same, that we need to have due process. And yes, obviously, if my mother or those women were raped, that's a terrible thing. But if I just proclaim today, you know, or that my mother was raped and I have no proof but just me saying so, okay, yeah, I'll believe you, but does that mean that some guy that I said raped her should be made out to be a criminal in the court of public opinion without having any hope of defending against it? And this really was the tone, the mentality that particular night. And some of these people, I'm telling you guys, they looked like they were literally in a trance. They were so into this thing about you have got to believe them. They were raped. And this really is akin to a lynch mob mentality. And once one person's in on it, once one person takes that strike, and I know they're not hitting Bill Cosby physically, but they are hitting him. They're lynching him in a different way that's perhaps even more painful than if he was hanging from a tree and being swatted at. I find this incredibly disturbing.
Dan, why don't you tell us about your experience? Started from the beginning when you got there.
Well, yeah. Cosby was coming to town. He was going to do three gigs in Canada, Southern Ontario specifically. He was going to be in Kitchener, and then it was London, and then Hamilton, Steeltown, my backyard. So kind of watched how things were rolling out, and obviously right from the get-go, you know, Bill like Gian is innocent until proven guilty. There are allegations. That's all there is. We don't have a trial. We don't have evidence that has been entered into a court. We don't have charges, and we don't have a verdict, okay? So innocent until proven guilty, that is a sacrosanct tenet, foundation of justice. Okay, a free and democratic society here. Watched how things kind of played out. In I believe it was Kitchener, his first gig, they had somewhere around maybe 25 or so, or maybe 50 protesters, and I'll give them credit. It was nasty. We had a cold snap, just kind of roll in, a nice cold front roll in. It got into the double negatives Celsius wise at the wind chill. The next night in London, they had more protesters, and they were a little more outspoken. They had increased their numbers as well. Again, they were chanting, "We believe the women." That's it. Nothing else. Like, not due process, not justice, not anything else. Just "we believe the women." Sounds eerily like what just happened in the University of Virginia there. Jackie Coakley. Just believe. And even when, hiccups in their story come along, hey, just believe anyways. It's okay. It's all right. It's just a guy's life that we're kind of ruining here because he might be guilty. When I realized that this was going to be happening in Hamilton, I knew that I had to take care of some things. So the chief knuckle dragger there, Paul, he whipped up a poster. I gave him a couple ideas what I had in mind, and we had a 1930s picture of a lynching, and a horrible thing. And this is exactly the mentality that they are pushing society towards, that they are advocating for: lynch mob justice. Never mind the courts. Just that's it. He's guilty. Only he. But if it's a she, she's innocent because she seduced him, right? Anyways, so that was the main picture of the poster, and there was modern Canada, and it said, "This is what you are becoming," because we're seeing that right across the board in Canada. Man guilty, woman innocent, and even if she is guilty, it's still some blame a penis somewhere along the line, whether it was her great grandfather or her son that she killed. Doesn't matter. As long as that there's a nearest male in the vicinity. As Toothless put out, if a crime against a woman happens, the best thing to do is tase yourself and call for backup. So, with all that in mind, I went down to Hamilton, got some posters printed up, and I put them up. Now, I can honestly say it was freezing out, and the wind was nasty. It was absolutely horrendous. I looked like a bukkake porn star when I was done. I didn't get as many posters as I wanted up, but what had happened was that I used a watered down white blue mix, and as I was spraying the posters, it was spraying me all over. So I looked like a bukkake porn star at the end of the day, but I got them up. The other shitty thing was that my hand was literally freezing to the pole. The concrete and the steel pole was actually, poles that I was putting these posters up on. They were literally cold enough that they were freezing. And so as I'm putting them up, if I left my hand in a spot too long, I could feel that it was starting to stick and freeze to the pole. But, job done. And I put them up right there, right at Hamilton Place. If you look at my Twitter feed, you will see that the posters are right there at Hamilton Place, right where the protesters were going to be, right where they would have dinner and stuff like that, right there. And, because I wanted them to, be well aware that we weren't, at least, not in my backyard. You don't get free reign to institute media lynch mob justice. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, what these people are doing, if Bill Cosby is guilty, okay, mighty big if, but what they are doing is they are giving the legal means to Bill's lawyers to say, hey, because of the way that he was, run through the media here, he can't get a fair trial, so no trial. All right, he can't get a fair and decent trial because of how the media has biased him and slandered him and libeled him, possibly libeled him and slandered him. So yeah, they're really poisoning the possible jury pool that could be called to produce a jury for a trial. And it's really deplorable the way that the feminist media is corrupting, the justice system. So that was the lead up. So 4 or 5 of us, maybe 6, maybe 8 of us, we're growing in numbers. Maybe even 9 or 10 of us came on down to Hamilton, and we had some posters and stuff, and we proceeded to make our voice be heard as well. We refuted their assertions, and they were, for the most part, I would say, they were cheeky, but they were not big red assholey. There wasn't too many big reddish there. They weren't so screechy, vile, kind of nasty. But there were the majority of them was at least civil. But some of them were nasty, feminasties. They were rather evil. The guys were right alongside the nasty guys were right alongside the nasty women, pulling their taunts and their crap, their horse shit. And we grabbed some good footage. We're releasing it as we're going through it. So they're normal stuff. 2, 4, 6, 8. We all got to end rape or something like that. There's that. I don't think that was one other chance, but or no. Hey, ho ho. Rape culture's got to go. And I'm asking them. How do we have rape culture when people get fucking murdered for the allegation of rape? How do we have a rape culture when people are protesting, saying we believe the women out in front of where a comedian is performing, who served in the U.S. Navy? I wrote an article about this today. Bill Cosby served in the U.S. Navy and was a track star, and actually suffered through racism, because when the Navy track star went on tour, he had to eat in the kitchen while the rest of the track team ate out in the restaurant front area there. How can these people deny his basic human right of innocent until proven guilty and due process? I wasn't going to let that get a free pass here in Hamilton. Sorry, I was a little bit long-winded on it.
Well, a few minutes before the show, Dina Esme shared with me and several other people a link to a new article on the Daily Caller. And I'm going to read just a portion of that real quick. Now, this is the title of this article is Exclusive. Cosby's accuser's manager claims Beverly Johnson and Janice Dickinson lied. Okay. Basically, what this article is saying is these two women, who are supposedly the two biggest names that are accusing him of rape, Beverly Johnson and Janice Dickinson, their manager, the publicity manager, right, managing their careers, their manager has come out and said they're making it up. It's not true. So
and this is it. There's so much rhetoric out there that we cannot, given that there's been so many times where innocent men have gone to jail, have been murdered in jail, and it turns out that they were not even guilty. What people don't understand is if we allow this lynch mob cult mentality to grow anymore, what I saw on that street corner in Hamilton on Friday night was an example of these people being very close, because there's a number of them there that had literally death stares in their eyes when they were looking at me, that if they had the opportunity, they would have hung me and beat me. And in fact, one of our colleagues was knocked to the ground. So are we going to risk that innocent men are going to be subjected to this? And it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Asian, Aboriginal, it doesn't matter. Their target is men, and I have a serious issue with this. And in fact, I've worked with about 5 men personally who have been accused of rape. And I'm telling you guys, one of these men witnessed 5 men hang themselves in jail in an 8-week period, and nobody cares. Recently, I heard a very young man in his early 20s has been convicted of rape and incest, and it's all trumped up nonsense. It stemmed from this guy's older sister getting into a deep argument with her girlfriend, and the girlfriend found the correct way to get at her by claiming to the police that her her older brother had raped her. That precipitated into a chain of events that lasted 3 years. This man had been out on bail, but the police were out to get him, and often, he had the SWAT team swarm his house, and they kept rearresting him each time that he was brought back into jail, while he had to have his bail reheard again, and of course more restrictions put on him. This man, in the end, I was told, was ravaged every single time. One time, the warden, a female warden, arranged that at about 2 o'clock in the morning, his cell opens up, and other inmates were instructed to literally put the boots to him, almost killing him. The last time that he was in jail, the guards and the inmates raped him. They beat him, and they said, next time, you will not come out of here alive. Now, this young man, is scheduled to be sentenced this 23rd of January. I fear that he will commit suicide before the 23rd. And this is why I am so passionate about demanding that we have due process and that we do not have this lynch mob mentality that is destroying the lives of innocent men. It is something that I am so passionate about, because any one of us men could end up in these predicaments if we allow the idea that we believe the women. This is insanity, and it's pushing us back into the dark ages of what used to happen in Salem in the witch hunts. Because somebody just twitched the wrong way, they were considered to be a witch. And next thing you know, you're burning at the stake. And it's no different with what's happening to Bill Cosby. This man is being systematically destroyed. But he's not alone. This is happening to other men every single day, everywhere. Vladek Siller, who has recently launched a lawsuit against Mary Kellett and some other people there, is another example of it. And we cannot allow this to happen. We have got to have due process. We have got to let our judicial system work properly, and this lynch mob social media justice has got to end.
Yeah, I keep telling people that, look, how you remember reading in history book about how black people were treated back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and before that, right? That is how society views all men now. We're all black men now.
Well, I said it a long time ago. Feminism is just another ism. Racism was based on color. Fascism was based on a religious kind of bias there. With Jews, they were trying to exterminate the Jewish people. Feminism is just another ism. Sexism, it's just another ism, and this one is blame the penis.
This feminism is out of control. It is absolutely out of control. And women, young women, I'm noticing on social media, are feeling so empowered. They have achieved an ability to hold so much power over men that they are not ashamed to be incredibly disrespectful, condescending, and they know that they could literally destroy a man publicly on social media on an allegation alone. And most of us men's rights activists have been dealt the, oh, you're a misogynist. And next thing you know, someone else says you're a misogynist. But they have it's just an opinion.
Oh, I just laugh at that. They call us misogynies. Oh, you're so misogynist. No. Poor children. Let's get rid of a little bit of that indoctrination where you got confused that an ideology is a demographic of society.
Gentlemen,
feminism are not women, and women are not feminism.
This is very serious. It is extremely serious. I didn't drive to Hamilton for 3 hours just because I wanted to go to a protest and get on television. And I have to commend the CBC media, Global, City.
I thought you were talking about the. I thought you were talking about the Twitter feminists. You said so. I thought you said social media, because usually that's the first argument they throw out. You hate women. The Twitter feminists, the twatters.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to The Voice of Europe with Lucian Valson and John Gunnarsson, Fridays, 1 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
Yeah, Danny, to be honest with you, your connection with me is very poor, so it's almost impossible for me to understand what you're saying. But I just wanted to state the fact that I'm very appreciative of many mainstream media that interviewed us, and they really understood the principle of fundamental justice, due process, innocent until proven guilty, and the conditions that we're living in today is very dangerous, very concerning, because unless we put our foot down, draw a line in the sand, and say enough is enough, this mentality is going to continue to ravage innocent men when a woman feels like destroying someone. And the motivation could be a number of things. It could be being vindictive. It could be monetary. It could be just to control. But we need to ensure that we bring things back to a position where if you've been raped, go to the police immediately. File your complaint and deal with it. But also understand that we're going to be pushing very hard that if you are caught lying, you need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And in fact, the charge of mischief and perjury is not enough, because once a malicious false allegation is made against a man, they pretty much can never wash that stigma off. It's a not recoverable condition that that the man is subjected to. And yes, I believe you, but take that to the police, not to the media.
Yeah, shame on the media.
Yeah.
Really, and not all the media. The media that was in Hamilton, they actually, the fact that they quoted us and they quoted us fairly. They didn't take words out of context. They didn't, they were fair. They've been fairly decent about it, which which I find is interesting. But it's becoming more and more of a trend since that, that University of Virginia hoax, was supported so vehemently by feminists there. Now I believe that more and more of the media are sitting up and taking notice that, hey, we don't want to be the next Rolling Stone. I think they are, seriously, and also, there was 2014. Let's face it was the year of the feminist follies. Starting off with Ban Bossy and ending with the UVA hoax or something, and Shirtgate. For the whole year, it was the feminist follies, and I think the mainstream media is starting to sit up and take notice and realizing, hey, we don't want to be the next Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone, has really, I really don't know how they're still in the black. I imagine that they're, if they're publicly traded, they must have lost, huge amounts of money. But anyways, I don't really care. I'm hoping that they fired Erdely's ass, and whoever else was involved, the fact checkers, their asses need to be gone too. Geez, I used to like Rolling Stone. I like my music. I used to like my music. I still kind of now when I get a chance to listen to it. But anyways, the media was actually fairly decent, and hats off, respect to them for giving both sides of the story, or both sides of the protester story. They didn't talk to Bill, obviously. However, they didn't give equal, amounts of ink space. So, they do lose points for that. But I will give them respect for, at least, getting a couple of, realizing the rationale behind, advocating for due process.
Janet Bloomfield has said, and I agree with her on this. She said that, Bill Cosby, especially to the younger generation, is not that popular. I remember him. I remember growing up watching the Cosby Show, but to kids nowadays in their 20s, and especially their early 20s, they don't remember him. They don't know much about him. So, if it had not been for all of this controversy, he would have never packed that theater. He would never have filled all the seats. But he did. And the reason he did is people are buying tickets to come see him because it's a form of screw you to the feminists.
It wasn't, he didn't pack it right full. There were some empty seats, the 60, 70, 75% full, somewhere in there, depending on the venue. And some people did give up their tickets. And you know what? So much, that's their own idiocy. I don't think, anybody's going to say, if Bill's guilty, he doesn't deserve jail time. Okay. I don't think that you'll find anybody who would say that except for a rape apologist or, a rapist or something. Now, nobody in the MRM, is saying that. We are saying, due process. Not once has anybody who, I've never heard of an MRA say, hey, we should let rapists go free. That's just absolute idiocy that they tried to throw at us all the time out in the interwebs there, but they tried to throw those accusations at us again at the event there in Hamilton.
Well,
yeah,
see, that's
that
the
was
point,
on Maine and Summers Lane there. Pardon?
That's the point, Danny. There can be no trial, not at least a criminal trial, because the statute of limitation ran out, before 1990 in some cases.
Actually, I have come across information stating that the LA County DA is investigating.
Well, but for maybe some of the newer cases, but the older cases, the statute of limitation has run out.
Yeah,
Because-
some of the cases, the criminal statute of limitations have run out.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the statute of limitation is 7 years. I could be wrong on that, but
I looked online once before when this story started breaking, and it varies from state to state, and that's an American thing. I don't get that, but hey, I'm Canadian. I don't have to understand you Americans all that well. Just you're Americanese.
Yeah. But okay, Attila, were you? What was your experience as far as were these people violent towards you in any way at all, or just being snobbish?
Well, I had some of the. Actually, there's only one female. She's a little bit older, seemed to be a bit well-to-do type, and she was literally disgusted with the sign that I was holding, which simply said, due process, stop Cosby lynching. And she kept saying to me, are you mental? Are you stupid? And I said to her, due process must prevail. That was one female that was somewhat aggressive. But then I had about 3 different men that approached me trying to shame me as if I didn't care about those 30 women that were raped. Well, I don't know. If I had 100% proof positive after a trial, evidence came out, and he had done this, absolutely, I feel complete sympathy. But at this point, I am not going to get on this lynch mob bandwagon that this man had done something. We don't know. And I was really astounded by some of these younger women who were like a cult, chanting this thing about, we believe the women. Arrest him. He's a rapist. I mean, we've lost, if we let this happen, we've lost our navigation of a just society. I cannot believe that this sort of thing is happening. And yes, there were a number of aggressive men who got into my face, into my space, and they have no business to do that. I'm not gonna,
that's just a flavor of Hamilton. That's just a flavor of Hamilton.
But I'm not going to collapse to this kind of pressure. I have a mind. I can assess situations, and I am not going to condemn someone, be it Bill Cosby or anybody else, without evidence. And it's not good enough for me that a woman says, I've been raped, and that's all the proof that you need. You have to believe what I said. Yeah, I heard you. But the next step is, we're going to now look at the facts. And it's not good enough to believe you on your word alone. And I'm not saying that you're lying, but we live in a democratic society where due process prevails. Put your information forward, put your best foot forward, and let's get the information out. There's all kinds of support networks to help them through, and it's nonsense that we have got to believe them because then other women are going to be afraid to come forward. Bull crap. Women are coming forward, dozens of them. Look at what's happening with Bill Cosby. They're not afraid. They're coming forward. The difference is...
they're getting a shit ton of support. What's her name? Gloria Allred's on the rag.
Don't go to the media. Go to the police station. That's what I did. When I found out that one of our colleagues was assaulted and knocked to the ground, I didn't phone the media. I called the police. That's what I did. And that's what anybody would do if there's some criminality, if you were robbed, if you were assaulted. Who would you call, the media or the police? If you called 911, would you ask, what's your emergency? Well, I've just been assaulted, but can you patch me through to the local mainstream media? Do you need an ambulance? No, I'm bleeding to death, but...
Yeah, that's the feminist idea for, reporting a crime. Press 1 for the mainstream media, press 2, and then way down at around number 9 would be press 9 to reach the police.
Exactly.
Well, it's because they can't get the kind of justice they want from our legal system, because you actually have to prove that a crime was committed. You actually have to prove it.
You know what?
And they don't want to have to do that.
You know what? I think we have just hit on the next nice ridicule for feminism. We need somebody to parody the feminist switchboard.
Oh.
And then have feminists, and then we can call in and report crimes.
Yeah, Danny, would you tell us about? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, weren't you assaulted at this protest?
Well, one of the little feistier Hamiltonians, she decided that she didn't like my rights to freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, and actually freedom of the press, because I do report on things for Voice for Men and other entities. They'd like me to show up at their events and cover things for them from a journalistic perspective. So she felt entitled to violate my rights, and she ran up to me, and I was really taken aback. And then she, kind of jumped because I was holding my signs above my head. I had 3 of them. The first one said, "Lynch mob justice is not justice." The second one said, "Racism plus sexism equals feminism." And the third one had a panel. And shout out to the folks there out at Men's Rights Edmonton, because on either side of it had pictures of "Don't be that girl." Just because you regret the sex doesn't mean it wasn't consensual. "Don't be that girl" posters on either side. And then in the middle it had statistics showing parity on sexual violence, domestic violence. I believe it was sexual violence, domestic violence. Hold on, actually I can... oh, Jesus, it's not within reach. But, the back of it, had showed parity in some of the issues, sexual violence, domestic violence, violence in general, and gave website statistics. Or not website statistics, website sources. Unlike the feminist claims of 1 in 5. They made those claims there by the by and by. 1 in 5, 1 in 4, 3, 2, 5 out of 3, whatever the fuck they want to say, whatever number they want to pull out of their ass for money of the day.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to When Did You Wake Up with Aaron Pizzi and Dean Esme, and Tales from the Infrared with Christian Chasen, Rachel Edwards, Jim Kelvarn, Nefanora Frall, and Dean Esme, alternating Saturdays 1 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
But anyways, did you notice that, Attila?
Sorry, Danny. I've got a connection problem with you. I cannot.
You still can't hear. Anyways,
I apologize.
Okay. Anyways, my poster had actual citations on it, unlike the feminist bullshit that they were putting out there. All they were putting out there was "We believe the women," 1 in 5, 1 in 4, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. They weren't putting out any statistics, or citable statistics, I should say. So, little Miss Entitlement there figured that she should come on across the street, kind of take a little bit of a run at me, jump up and grab the posters out of my hand, thereby assaulting me and committing theft. Section 322 of the Criminal Code of Canada. And 265 would be assault. Just off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure on those numbers. So, or those parts of the Criminal Code. So, I just turned and I said to an officer, I said, "You go arrest her right now, and you charge her." What she did, you do your fucking job, sort of deal. And I'm sorry if I get a little bit passionate about this, because I have, there's a history of the Hamilton fucking cops not upholding goddamn fucking law when it's a woman committing the crime. With me. Numerous times. And it pisses me right the fuck off. And they know it. And I ain't gonna be silent about the violence, motherfuckers. So anyways, the one officer started doing his job, and I was actually surprised. And then another officer, badge number 053, told him to stop. And I went up and down badge number 053, and I'm going off from memory here. I got it on tape. I'll have to go back and get that tape, thing, but we're going to go with 053. I'm almost positive that's the number. He sat there and said, no, we're not going to enforce the law. And I couldn't believe it. Well, actually, I could believe it, but boy, did it ever piss me right the fuck off. got me a little bit of Baptist preacher on crystal meth kind of pissed off, fucking verbally speaking. So I cited, I said, didn't you swear an oath under Section 45 of the Police Services Act, in which you find it says that you swear, to uphold the Constitution of Canada, in which there is a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and under Section 15 it says equality under the law? Fucking, didn't you swear an oath to that? So that officer, right then and there, was not upholding his oath under that Constitution.
Danny, wasn't there another one of your group, Attila, you feel free to jump in on this as well, but wasn't there another member of your group who was also assaulted by different... Yeah,
Malcolm was with us, and as we were walking back, he kind of got separated, and I didn't notice it. There's a group was walking back, and he kind of got separated and called off. And this is really, really important, folks. We've got to pay attention to this. This is kind of a hindsight 2020 thing. But two protesters kind of singled him out. He passes them, and then they come back, and they kind of go after him. And when they realize that he's taping them, and they say all kinds of absolute idiotic things. By the way, we've got nice clear shots of their faces, both of them, the man and the woman. We will be forwarding them to the police, as I understand it. But they once they realized that Malcolm was, video recording, protecting himself, they reached and tried to grab the camera out of his hand. So, again, unwelcome, grabbing of things here is an assault, and it is an attempted theft. But they actually managed to knock him down in the process. And we like I said, we have the videotape evidence, and we are, I think, as I understand it, we are proceeding. Let me just say, Danny, I talked to the Hamilton police. I spent about a half an hour on the phone with them, getting them all the information. So the police had been contacted, and we are pursuing that. The police are looking to gather, in addition to the videotape that Malcolm had, they are also going to gather the surveillance cameras in and around the area, so that we have different camera angles of the assault, which ended up causing this man to fall to the ground. And the police, as I understand it, will lay charges so long as Malcolm wishes for them to do that. And it is really important that people understand, if you ever have a situation on the road, something happens, immediately call 911. Even as you're being assaulted, if you think you're going to be assaulted, if you think you're in a difficult situation, because what happens is the 911 call will be audio recorded, and that becomes evidence. So, and the other thing is, if you've been hit, you need to let people know, I've been attacked, scream, yell, draw attention, and if you're hurt, demand that they bring an ambulance, because that will also draw more attention, and to make sure that you get the necessary medical help
We don't know if how hard he hit his head on the ground. Could have a concussion. So it's very important that people don't try to let this slide. Call 911. Don't ask for mainstream media. Ask for the police. They will come out, and you'll get the necessary help.
Well, what those two individuals don't realize is that whole area is under CCTV. It says, as soon as you go downtown Hamilton from it's Wellington to Hess Village, in that area, you are under CCTV. Big Brother is watching. So, for those of you out there who, like my poster work, yeah, I do it right under it's Big Sister. I do it right under Big Sister's watch, and I don't give a shit. They have ignored the crimes against men far too long, and so since the government is systemically failing men on multiple levels, not only in the criminal sphere, but we have the health sphere, education, and just right across the board there, failing men. So I have no fear and no, I have no fear and don't really care. If it's got public money in it, it gets our message. That is my position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, we've got about 5 minutes left in the show. Real quick, Attila, I'll hand the mic off to you for final words.
Sure. What we need to do is we need to keep pushing that we have, in a democratic and free society, due process must prevail. Yes, we'll believe what you're saying, but take it to the police. Don't take it to mainstream media or social media. Lynch mob mentality is not just. It's barbaric. It's backward. It will not be tolerated, and it will be snuffed out. If you have an issue, if you've been raped, been assaulted, you have some problems that need the attention of the police, that's who you call. You don't call mainstream media. And this business about women learning that they can exact incredible control over a male by uttering the words, "I've been raped," or "he assaulted me," or any of variations of these. He
called me bossy. He called me bossy. Arrest him. He calls me bossy. Okay.
Yeah, Dan, you want to give us your final thoughts on all this?
All right. I got a few words for the protesters. So the ones that acted like dirty little fuckers, I will hang you publicly. Okay? Metaphorically speaking, I will fucking hang your asses out to dry. To the ones that were respectful, I will show you respect back as well. Okay? I respect your right to free speech just as much as you respect mine. Okay? That's the game I play, and I'll play that with you any day of the week. Okay? To anybody else who's listening after the show, tonight, due process is sacrosanct. Okay, innocent until proven guilty. There's a reason for that. As Attila had pointed out, we cannot go back to lynch mob justice. Okay, and that is what feminism is advocating for. It needs to stop. It needs to stop yesterday. Okay, that's the way that goes. And on that note, I will say thanks for joining us, folks. I guess. And remember, you can lead a feminist to logic, but you can't make them think. Jack, what do you got to say?
I just wanted to real quick thank Attila for coming on. Appreciate him coming on. It was always a pleasure to have you on, Attila. And
thank you, Jack.
Everyone, go over to Voice for Men. There's already at least one article up about this, and look, there will be more. Go over to Dan Perrins' YouTube channel. You will see videos of the protest and of these encounters that we've been discussing here tonight. Keep an eye on both of those, Voice for Men and Dan's YouTube channel. There will be more of this coming out over the next few days. And everyone, thanks for listening. Have a good evening and take the red pill.
Good night, gentlemen.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to the Vanguard Report with Fiddlebogan and Nick Redding Monday nights, 6 p.m. Central Time, and Blue Collar Red Pill with Dan Perrins and Jack Barnes Monday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
Thanks, Gold.
Dan and Jack hope you have enjoyed this episode of Blue Collar Red Pill. The song The Last Ones by the band Jazar is used under Creative Commons license and has been modified for this show. Please visit antimisandry.com and avoiceformen.com for more information on the men's human rights movement.